All right, we'll just let people get sorted in and come in here. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. I use he/him pronouns, and I do recruitment and admissions here at King's. And I'm with Fred and Trina, who are both faculty in the School of Journalism. We'll just wait here for a few minutes to see if everybody who registered will attend, and then we'll get going. But before then, I'll just point out that if you have any questions for any one of us over the course of the webinar, please feel free to drop it into the Q&A function down below on your ribbon. And if you have any questions about the technical aspect of the webinar, if you can't hear us or can't see us or anything like that, please drop that into the chat, and we'll take care of it. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your Sunday to come and be with us here today. We're really excited to host you in a month and a half here at King's for journalism school, and we're excited to tell you more about it. So I think we can get things started here, and uh, if anyone else joins in, we can get them up to speed as they come in. So let's get going. All right. So as I mentioned, I'm Josh. I do recruitment and admissions here at King's, but I am certainly not the star of the show today. We have Fred Valence Jones, who's the director of journalism here at King's, and we also have Trina Roche, who's an assistant professor here at the school. So Fred and Trina, do you want to take a few seconds to say hi and introduce yourselves? We'll start with Fred.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. And yeah, I'm Fred Valence Jones, and I'm the director of journalism here. Fancy title, but the reality is you can knock on my door anytime and we can chat about journalism or anything you like. So, I've been doing this journalism thing all my life, pretty well.
Hi, I'm Trina Roach. I'm a member of the Glooscap First Nation, and I worked for the Aboriginal People's Television Network, APTN, for many years and CBC, and came over to teaching. I'm terrible with dates, but just after the pandemic. So a lovely time we all remember. And I've been teaching numerous courses. I sort of specialize in Indigenous reporting, visual storytelling, but also the foundations of journalism, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit more today. So welcome, everyone.
Lovely, thank you. And now I will let I think it's Fred. Fred, take it away from here.
All right. So thanks very much. And I think our purpose here today is just to give you a little bit of a sense of what it'll be like when you arrive here in September, but also maybe a little bit of a sense of what happens after first year and in second, third, and fourth year. And I think that's really important because the first year is sort of unique in the program in the sense that 4 days out of five of the week, most students are going to be in the foundation year program, which is in many ways, it'd be fair to say, a completely different world. That program will come to dominate a lot of your consciousness while you're in first year. And certainly Josh is a graduate of the program and did the foundation year. But then 1 day a week, as Trina's going to talk about in a few minutes, you learn about journalism. So we're here mainly to tell you about that 1 day a week in first year, and then about some of the exciting things that happen through the rest of the program. We like to say that at King's Journalism, you can find your voice and change your world, and we typically do that by telling stories. And so King's Journalism is fundamentally and first a place where you learn to tell stories in a bunch of different ways. but not just tell stories, but also how to root out misinformation and tell the world what's factual and sort that out from all of the noise, which we all know is all over social media, for example, and try to figure out, well, what's actually true. So that's kind of one of the things we're going to do over those 4 years is equip you, whatever you end up doing in a career, to be able to sort out fact from fiction. But also in a kind of exciting way, to find out why words and images can change the world. And there's so many examples of that, just through what we write, images we create, video, audio, as well, that we can tell people what's happening, but also bring it to them in a way that actually causes change. And that's a really exciting thing about a career in journalism. Tell you a little bit about the people who you'll work with, and I think there's a slide for that. This is a picture of our faculty a year ago at a retreat, and you can see we're a friendly bunch. But not only are we sort of an approachable crew who always have our office doors open when you have questions, but also everybody's an experienced professional. So Trina mentioned that she worked for APTN for many years and produced video documentaries. So you have a unique opportunity with Trina to learn at the, sort of beside a real pro, how to make your own video documentary. You'll have that chance in fourth year. But as well as being pros, our faculty are really caring and effective teachers. And we really care about that. And I always like to think of it as a prof. You can see him and just over to the left there. David Swick is his name. And he's been around the school forever. And there's always a lineup at David's office of students who are lined up to talk to him one-on-one. He spends so much time with his students, talking to them about their stories, their long-form stories, which is David's specialty. So always approachable for sure. That's kind of what we're all about. But it's not just teaching, and so we do other things as well. And right away, early on, and while you're here in September, late September, we're having an amazing event, which is going to talk about the uneasy relationship between journalists and government. And you may have heard that governments are getting very good at holding information back and telling their story, but which isn't always the story that maybe is the full story, because governments want to get politicians, particularly, want to get reelected. And one of the jobs of journalists is to give the public a sense of the full truth. And so this event's going to be all about that and all about the challenges today in doing that work. But it's just one of many events we put on at the school, which enrich your experience so that you're not it's not just a classroom, but it's also what you do beyond the classroom, and so that connects you to the world outside. Because journalism is very much about what's happening now. When you're in FIP, it's going to be very much about the foundations of Western civilization and stuff that was written a long time ago. In journalism, it's all about the now. It's all about interpreting and understanding the now within a sort of framework of that history that you're taught in FIP. So that sort of goes on the year, and then the really, really exciting event that we love at the end of the year, and I've sent out a video link to this to everybody in an email that we sent out to all the incoming students, is a Big Day. And we have a slide for that. And we have what we call the Big Day Journalism Awards. You might ask, why the Big Day Journalism Awards? It's because we have a day where we bring the entire school together, and that includes you, for a day in Alumni Hall, which is the same classroom where some of your classes will be this year. Not all, but some. And you have a chance to enter your best work from your classes in Big Day each of the years that you're here. And if you come up to the school, and you'll get a chance for a tour, we'll talk about that a bit later, you'll see all the award winners from this last year. Their pictures are all up on the wall. They're all looking very proud, holding their certificates. What you see here is a picture of the crew from the advanced video doc workshop this year, having their picture taken at Big Day. You see how excited everybody is, and there are indeed awards, 2 awards just for first years. So it's not just for the people, coming to the end of the program, but also it's for those of you who are just starting out. And we really do want to celebrate what our students do. So I think that's enough from me for the moment. What I might do now is pass things over to Trina, my colleague. And Trina actually teaches one of the first year courses, and the first one. And so Trina will be your first journalism prof that you're going to have for a term. And so I'm going to pass things over to Trina to talk a bit more about first year.
Thanks, Fred. Yeah, I'll be your first journalism prof that you'll meet, but also we start on Tuesday, which is the first day of the term. So my class will be your very first class at King's. So I always feel kind of honored. It seems to always work out that way. So I always feel kind of honored that your first experience is in my class. Yeah, Fred mentioned that journalism is the Tuesday. Most of you are likely taking the foundation year program, and on Tuesday we have you in Foundations of Journalism, and you're learning, like Fred said, we're not publishing journalism. You sort of do that as you go through the course. Here it really is. I mean, it's the foundations, right? Those fundamental principles, writing skills, research skills. We start building that base and dealing with some, more theoretical things like ethical issues, the importance of diversity in our stories, in newsrooms. Just how do we tell those stories? How do we gather information? Where do we get the information? How do we make sense of it? How do we write it in a really clear, concise way for the public, and that a really important role that we serve for the public, which is that role of journalism in society, in a democratic society. So sometimes we're talking about things that are just current events, and we're expecting students to be engaged in news that's happening right now. But sometimes we're looking at things like sort of iconic news stories, and sort of dissecting those a little bit to see how big events were covered in the past. And so in part, we're sort of thinking about journalism, but we're also starting to do it, learning about how to do an interview and how to do that really tight, strong writing that's just sort of really fundamental to journalism. And like things like fake news, like we have a course at King's called Fake News. Obviously, we just sort of start. It's an introduction to sort of verification, the importance of verification. So we cover a lot of topics, and it's very introductory. Some students are coming in maybe having written for like a high school newspaper, and some don't have any experience. So I will just say that we're not publishing typically in Foundations, but some of the students will write for the King's Watch, which is the university paper, or the Dalles Gazette. So it's a good, you can sort of start getting that experience in other ways of publishing, and just sort of building the skills and portfolio. But yeah, it's very introductory, fundamental, sort of thinking about journalism and then starting the practice of doing it. Maybe we can just talk about the format on Tuesday on the next slide. So the 1002 is the fall course, so you're likely already registered for that, and then 1003 is in the winter, and we sort of it builds, like they're very connected courses. You start doing more journalism in the winter, so the fall term is a little more introductory, starting to build those skills, and then you'll sort of carry that through where you just start doing more stories in the winter term. We do tend to stick to text stories at this point. Adding in audio and video sort of requires a lot more technical skills. So we really focus on writing, but the class is structured so the morning we're all together. in the morning well, I won't get into where the class is, but that will be in your syllabus. You'll know where to go. So the morning class, we're all together. There's a lecture and discussion. It really works best if students are like engaged. I suggest that you have a laptop because sometimes you'll be asked to like, do some research in class or participate in a class exercise that will require your laptop. So the morning lecture, we're all together. In the afternoon, that's from in the morning is 9:30, basically 9:30 to 11:30. So it's 2 hours in the morning. And then the 2 hours in the afternoon, we have a really solid, wonderful tutorial team. So we have a lecture, sort of a short lecture, and then a tutorial in the afternoon. And sometimes that's really focused on like a specific skill, a writing skill or a research skill or interviewing. And that tutorial is kind of where you get really one-on-one in smaller groups with the tutorial instructor. And this is a solid team of like, journalists with between them decades of experience that they can really like answer your questions and talk you through exercises or scenarios. It's a real, and these are the instructors who are marking your assignments. So you're going to have a really close relationship with the tutorial instructors. You're going to spend probably the most time with them throughout the fall and winter. So we start with the basics. It really is like, what is journalism? And it sounds like a simple question, but it can be a hard question to answer. That journalism can look and sound and read like a lot of different things, especially nowadays. And so we start with the basics of writing. You're building that skill set, learning how to do interviews, but also like why are we doing these stories? Learning what a story is, like what makes a story really resonate with people. How do you do that? Because that's a skill. You don't always recognize it. So it's more, we're going to take these stories apart so you can see what it is that makes a story really stand out. And really grab someone, and so that it's a mix of ethics or theory and practical like skills of writing and research, and it's sort of spread out through the day on Tuesday, sort of usually ending with the tutorial, which is where you're in your smaller groups to sort of discuss what we were talking about all day and maybe do an exercise. Maybe I'll go to the next slide, which is the path to success. So deadlines, I mean, journalists, we deadlines are what we live by. Obviously, life happens. So my key, we recognize that students get really busy through the year. And so we always say people get sick and things happen. So the biggest piece of advice that I can give you is to communicate. Communicate with me, communicate with your tutorial instructor. Like if you're going to miss a deadline, if it's coming up, like talk to us in advance and just let us know, because we're all so keen to help you succeed. We want to make sure we can accommodate where necessary, help you meet your deadlines, help you understand the assignment. Always ask questions. It's what we do as journalists. And so it's really good to practice that now with us, right? So if you're not sure about something, just reach out and ask. And that's kind of the goal of the tutorials. It is those smaller groups. And so you have that chance to ask your tutorial instructor in a smaller group questions that maybe you didn't feel like asking in front of the big class. Not everyone's a talker. Some people are, and that's fine, but the tutorials really offer you a way to ask those questions maybe that were coming up for you throughout the day. We're really invested in your success. The whole point of this is not to test you throughout, it's to help you learn skills. And so how we do that is by working with you and making sure that you understand the process of how a story gets made, that you're able to sort of make mistakes as you go and incorporate feedback And so all the assignments and the lectures are kind of built to sort of scaffold that learning process. But ask questions, communicate, do the readings. That is a great do the readings for class. It makes the class discussion so much more interesting if everyone has done the readings in advance. And just participate, like be engaged. Come with curiosity and just engage with the readings and the lectures, engage with each other. We always have, it's okay to have different opinions. We just want to make sure we're professional, that we're courteous, but that we're curious. And I think that's just such a key element that's going to carry you through your studies, whether it's your journalism studies or your FIP studies or whatever other courses you take as you go through university. Like, just be curious. This is really a time to just read things that you wouldn't ordinarily read, learn things that are, not information that you would ordinarily seek out. It's just a time to engage with new ideas and new ways of thinking about the world. And it's an exciting time. So I communicate, look in Brightspace. If you're not familiar with Brightspace, you will be soon in the fall. So you'll just try to stay on top, and time management is always really key for your university career, not just journalism. You're going to have deadlines in all your courses for assignments. Journalism is really good practice at meeting those deadlines. But yeah, time management is a big thing. Communication and just staying on top of Brightspace to make sure that you know when things have changed, if class is canceled because there was a snowstorm, etc. Anyways, I think that is, and obviously if you have questions, you can drop them in the Q&A and I'm happy to answer anything specific.
All right, so I guess maybe I'll just jump in here for a little bit more and tell you a little bit about some of the other things that we have to offer in the school. So Trina's been talking about sort of how to succeed. We have a dedicated writing coach, and they actually have a writing coach in foundation year as well. One thing you're going to discover very quickly as you work in the journalism program is that the writing we're going to teach you is going to be substantially different from the writing that you will be taught to do in FIP. And they're, of course, completely different things. And think of it as diversity, as a chance to sort of explore two different ways of expressing yourself. So when and if you're, you want a little boost with that journalism writing, Alison Lawler is available. She doesn't do assignments, but she'll sit down with you and work with you on your writing. And to help make it sing, and you can make an appointment with her right through the term. And I think this is especially important, today in a time when, things such as ChatGPT, these AI tools seemingly make it so easy to write, but you spend enough time with those and you realize that the writing is bland and expressionless and really doesn't have any personal style. Of course, how could it? It's an average of billions of words. And so Alison can help you develop your style and your particular writing skills. And we really encourage you to keep her busy, like keep her running, so that there's a lineup at her door as well. I also take a second and talk a little bit about the rest of the program. And as you go on beyond first year, and it's sort of the way the program is designed, is so that you do more and more journalism as you proceed through the program. And so there's all kinds of things that happen after first year. So you're going to have those moments when you say, oh my, not another writing assignment, and of course you will. But just always keep your mind looking ahead to the publishing and the audio and the video work you'll do, and the workshops you'll do in fourth year. In second year, Trina teaches, oh, that's a tongue twister. Trina teaches an amazing course called Indigenous Peoples and Media, where you're going to learn the truth about that relationship between Indigenous people and the Canadian state, and how that's expressed in journalism and how you can do a good job as a journalist. And that's actually when it was brought in, was one of the very first courses of its kind in all of Canada. And that's all part of the ultimate goal, which is that you're a pro by the time you walk out of here, ready to work either in journalism or in the many fields that use the skills that we teach in this program. It all ends with an internship at the end, where you get to spend a month in a news organization or in a related organization, trying it out and getting pushed to learn even more.
I'll just add there, maybe just about that picture is from Reporting in Mi'kma'ki, which is another course that I teach. It runs in May, and it's just amazing. We go into community, and I think it's unique because we go into a First Nation, and students work in teams to produce a multimedia story. But it's also just about learning to engage with community members who have typically been marginalized in mainstream media. But we're also, some of the learning is, just that cultural learning and learning best practices, but learning by doing. And I think the learning by doing is something that you'll find in King's just becomes more and more as you go through the course. But even by second year, you're doing journalism. You learn it by doing it, and student journalists are journalists. So foundation year might be about learning the basics, but second year on, you're starting to really produce real journalism that lives on our website, The Signal. Reporting in Mi'kma'ki has its own site, and so you're doing these stories and learning it by doing it, and learning by engaging with people and with profs and your classmates, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, thanks, Trina and Fred. I'm just going to talk a little bit about other aspects of first year that outside of the journalism school itself. We will be done the presentation part of this in probably the next 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, start thinking of them now, pop them into the Q&A. You are aspiring journalists after all, so try to come up with a few questions for us. But just to echo what Fred and Trina was saying, as somebody who did the program, graduated 5 years ago, it's a lot of doing. Like, I remember sitting in the mayor of Halifax, their office, in like the first month of second year, and thinking, like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm 19 years old. But as Trina said, you're a journalist. You're reporting on issues, talking to decision makers in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Canada, and it's such a fun and exciting program. But back to what's on the slide here. So if you have any questions about how to build your degree at King's, the beauty about the journalism program is it is quite structured, so it is very clear of where you have to go and build your degree within journalism school. But you still have almost half of your degree that you can still play around with and take secondary subjects. For me, when I was in journalism school, I studied international development and did some political science courses as well. Others took English, creative writing, or philosophical courses. Some do sciences. There's a wide breadth of courses for you to take outside of your time in journalism school, which can really enhance your journalism. If you wanted to report on be a science journalist, then it would be very beneficial, obviously, to take some science courses. And that's where our academic advising team comes into play. They're the ones that are able to help you navigate which courses you should take to get what you want to get out of your university experience. And our academic advisors, they're at King's, they're in the registrar's office, and we have 2 full-time advisors there. That's I don't know if you can see my mouse, but that's Jen and Keenan. And then the other 3 here are actually students. They're peer advisors, and they help you with kind of a student-to-student perspective. Help their students who they're trying to get through their degree, and they can definitely help you as well sort out where you like to go and figure out your courses and how to register and all all of those types of questions. So you can go and if you want to connect with them, you can start connecting with them right now. You don't have to come to King's. Start talking to them. If you want to connect, you can email registrar@ukings.ca, and they'll help you sort out your questions, and you can book an online meeting with them as well. And also, if you have any questions about journalism and advising, I'm not sure Fred, who's the undergraduate advisor for journalism right now?
That would be me.
You're looking at her.
You're looking at her.
So you can talk to Trina as well about moving through your degree and what that will look like within journalism. Trina, is there anything you'd like to add about your role as undergraduate advisor specifically?
Yeah, we'll have conversations in first year, like about my role and just making sure you're registered. First year, you're already there. You're registered. That's going to unfold, but I'll make sure that you know sort of where you have to go for year 2, what your options are, year by year. So, and obviously, if you have any questions, I'll be your prof, so you'll know how to get a hold of me. But certainly, you might not have questions about foundations, but you might have questions about future years. Maybe you want to study abroad or something like that. So any of those kind of questions, you can always reach out to me anytime and ask those kind of questions.
Thank you. Another thing I'd like to mention is Orientation Week. Orientation Week is the very first week that you're at King's. This year is from the 31st of August till September 6th, and that's a very fun week. I'm not sure exactly what activities they're planning for this year, but in the past they've done tours of Halifax and the campus, both King's campus and Dalhousie's campus. They've played like yard games, like races where you have an egg on a spoon and you have to get from one area to the other, and you tag up with your team member just to get you involved and meeting new people. And there's activities from a wide range of interests and activities. They do, in the past, they've done dodgeball, they've done Dungeons and Dragons, they've done crocheting, they've done dance parties. So anything that you might be interested in as a way to go and meet friends and get used to life at King's. That's what Orientation Week is all about. It is mostly student run. And if you want to be involved, you do have to register. So if you go to, at the bottom there, it's ksu.ca, that's for the King's Student Union. If you go to their website, on the top menu there, they'll have a page for Orientation Week. And that's how you can register for O Week. And I also just want to mention next month on August 17th, the same time, 2 to 3 p.m. Atlantic time, we're going to have a parents and supporters webinar. So this is, if your parents or supporters are not on the webinar right now, please let them know. This is how they can learn how to support you and their student through their first year at King's. It will feature people from both the Recruitment and Admissions Office and the Housing and Dean of Students Office. So if your parent or supporter is interested in that webinar, please feel free to register online. If you go to the events page on our website, it'll be right there. And Fred, the pizza and lunch tour.
Great. So week 3, you just be settling into your studies. We have the pizza lunch, and that's an event where you get a chance to meet folks who are, for example, are not teaching you in first year, but also just a chance to sort of in a relaxed way, ask more questions, get a sense of where the program is going. Students always have questions by that point. And of course, the key thing is free pizza. There is nothing better in the world and life than free pizza, I would say. And that's usually held in the Wilson Common Room on the 2nd floor. And it's held conveniently after the end of your morning lecture in 1002. So you just have to walk up one flight of stairs, and the event begins. And then later on, after the sort of mix and mingle part, we take you on a tour. And one of the really exciting things this year, and Trina and I and a couple other folks the other day had an opportunity to see sort of the beginnings of the total redesign of our video lab, which will be unveiled for this year. With all luck, it'll be done before classes start. Right now, it's stripped down to wires hanging from the ceiling and so on, but it's going to be a really exciting part of the new year at King's, and so you'll get a chance to have a look at that, and of course, you'll be having the opportunity to work in that room later on in the degree. We also will show you our audio lab. The picture you see here, actually, that's Mark Pinio. He's our audio tech. And this is actually the tour from last year. And this, yeah, and kind of viewed from the perspective of the studio. The students always love sitting down in the studio and having a go at try themselves out as broadcasters or as podcasters. So we really look forward to this every year. And that's happening on September 16th again, which is the third week of classes at in first year. And anyone's of course welcome to come. I know though that Josh wants to tell you something else that's really exciting.
Someone was bound to speak with their mic off in this opener. It was I'm the one who fell into that trap. But yes, Fred is right. Something else that's exciting is we have a little prize draw. So please, if you answer in like a sentence or two the question, or the end of the sentence, I should say, which is I'm excited to start journalism because, and you email your answer to admissions@ukings.ca by Thursday, then you could be in a draw to receive a $30 gift card to the King's Co-op bookstore. So you can use that to help buy your journalism books or your other course books, or you could just use it to buy something fun like other books, or maybe a crew neck or a hoodie or something like that. So yeah, just finish that sentence. I'm excited to start journalism because, and email it to admissions@ukings.ca, and you will be in to win a $30 gift card.
Now, one of the things you could use that gift card is to buy signal swag, as we call it. You can actually buy some of that. Sometimes we give it away too. And we actually had a passing mention of the Signal. The Signal is our online publication. I think we already emailed you the link, signalhfx.ca. And this is where all of the published work, starting in second year, although the odd first year student has crept in there, who's done something really great, and right through to fourth year in it. So we have short stories, we have long stories, we have documentaries, podcasts. It's actually part of the Halifax journalism ecosystem. During the school year, King's is providing a source of news and information to the community, and that's a kind of a really exciting part. You're not just doing it for your profs, as Trina said. You're actually publishing for the world, which is great practice for what those of you who become journalists are going to do. Is you're going to publish to the world, and which is, I always thought it was really exciting. I was in audio before I was later in print at a newspaper, and hearing your story play on the radio, there was always a bit of a charge from that. Always a charge of seeing your byline in print. There is something about being a published journalist that's unlike any other field that you can enter. So, but I guess, Josh, we're rolling around to question time.
Yes. So if you have any questions to Trina or Fred or I, please put them into the Q&A. And if you can't find that, you can also use the chat as well. So I'll give you a few minutes to come up with some questions and ask them. But as we wait, I do have a question for both of you. So we're in early July right now. We still have just under 2 months until school starts. Do you have any advice to the students over the summer of what they can do to help them prepare for journalism school?
Maybe I'll start there, Fred. I would say there's no textbook required for the fall course. It doesn't mean there's no readings. It just means that we're going to provide them throughout. You do have a text for the winter, the Canadian Press, the CP Style Guide, which is kind of like the Bible, I guess, for for journalists in terms of how you do acronyms or spells things or titles. Like just there's a certain format that we follow. So we use the CP Style Guide for that. My main suggestion would be as you're sort of looking to start in the fall is just read or listen or watch, like just engage with news. Just pay attention to sort of what's happening in the world. In the world, it could be local, it could be, I mean, right now there's a lot of stuff that's sort of dominating headlines and has been just really look at things with a critical eye, but just listen. Just, if you have a podcast that you really like, just engaging, but now starting to think about how did they do that? How did they find that information? Like, how did they find that source? How did they find out who to interview? Like, just start sort of thinking about some of the stories you're reading or podcasts you're listening to, and start thinking like, how did they put that together? And then maybe you could bring those questions into journalism. But we're going to ask you to engage with news, so you might as well start now. And I assume if you're signed up for journalism, that you have that interest, so you're probably already doing it. But maybe just now thinking about like doing it with a little bit of a critical ear or eye would be a good thing to do.
I'd echo the same advice. That's exactly what I was going to say. And news is found not just on the news websites of big newspaper organizations or broadcasters, podcasters, but you can find news in all kinds of places, including on TikTok. Many news organizations maintain TikTok pages, so you don't have to take your news always. With the earnest full page spread, sometimes it's a 30-second TikTok video. And so, news can be exciting. News can be very much of today. And even though I know you hear all of the doom and gloom, everybody hears that about conventional news organizations. There's a lot that's happening. If you're interested, we have a local online publication here called the Halifax Examiner, which I think they'll charge you $5 to subscribe as a student. And that was just started up by a local journalist. And these are the kinds of things that are moving in to provide news as some of the traditional news organizations are sort of fading a little bit. And so I'd definitely encourage you to go beyond those mass media organizations to find other places where you can find news as well. And and talk to folks. Get out and talk to people. I think this is one of the things that many journalism students are intimidated by is the need to go out and interview people. Now, I'm not saying go out and interview people in the summer, but sort of get out there and be chatty, and I think that's one of the great joys of journalism actually is you get to go out and chat with people, and that's your job. Other people are sort of stuck at a desk sorting papers, filing things, sending emails, and you're out there talking to people uh, for a living. And you sometimes, as a journalist, you sort of hit yourself, say, I'm actually being paid to do this. And that's one of the great things about it. So, get out there and get a sense of the world around you, wherever you happen to be. What's going on in my community? What are they talking about? What's affecting people? Because really, that's ultimately what news is about, is what's affecting people.
Mm.
And you pay attention to that. And I think you'll find that. But also, one other thing I'm going to advise you to do, take a break. Relax, enjoy, whatever sunshine there is, wherever you are in the country, go to the beach, go to the mountains, go for a walk, do the job you have to do in order to pay for your schooling, so
Yeah.
lots of things to do in the next 6 weeks. It's hard to believe. It's really not much more than 6 weeks.
I know. Yeah, do enjoy the rest of the summer. We do have a question. You had mentioned internships for the future. Is there any opportunity to intern abroad? So the internship, there is a 4-week internship that happens. It's actually kind of the last thing that happens for students in fourth year. Like our fourth year, you're just doing journalism. Through years 1 to 3, you're like taking other courses, like Josh had mentioned, political science or English or whatever it is. By the time you get to fourth year, you are just doing journalism. We have workshop models. And then the last thing that you do because you graduate in May, so in April is a 4-week internship. So that is sort of, there's time set in the fourth year for that. Having said that, though, you can do the internship earlier. You just have to work with, we have an internship coordinator, so you have to work with them to make sure that, you're going to get the credit for it, that the place where you want to do it is like acceptable. It's a pretty wide range. And I think Fred, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you had, say in the summer of your third year, you had a chance to intern at, I don't know, the BBC or some international media outlet somewhere else in the world, then that would be an amazing opportunity. And you just have to make sure that you are to get it to count as an internship for like sort of for King's credit, that you work with our coordinator, just because there is like a bit of a process to that, not onerous, but like there is some things that have to happen to make sure you get it for credit. But I'm correct in that, right? You could intern internationally. Yeah.
People have done so in the past. Yeah, Trina.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly more complicated just because it involves some minor issues about, doing a work placement outside of Canada. But we've had students actually do an internship at, say, the BBC. So definitely it happens. The other thing that I might want to mention is that if you're interested in sort of experiences abroad, is that through Dalhousie, through our sister university, Dalhousie, there is a very extensive study abroad program.
Yeah.
And you can arrange to do a term, for example, say at a journalism school in another country. And we have a process that would allow you to apply some of the credit that you earn there, assuming it's an approved educational institution, and most major ones are, that they would then apply to your King's degree. So if you're really interested in sort of an experience abroad, the advising folks that Josh talked about earlier can help you get started with that. And there is an international center at Dalhousie that can also help you figure out all the mechanics around studying abroad. So, and it's something that some students find really exciting. And we have actually one student I know right now who's going to be doing a study abroad the year after next. And we go to quite a lot of effort to reorganize people's degrees so that they can do it in whatever ways we can.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have questions, if you're interested in studying abroad, there are sort of deadlines. Just reach out to me and then I can help connect you to those other, like the studies abroad folks at Dal or academic advice. You can always reach out to academic advising as well. Because I think there is there's a January deadline. But if you wanted to figure out where to go and then what sort of journalism courses are offered and what might sort of count as a substitute, I'm happy to have those conversations. Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Awesome. So there was a question that somebody had when they registered for the webinar, and I do want to place it to both of you here. The question was about how should somebody optimize their time in journalism school to give them the best chance of being employed as a journalist once they leave. So if either of you want to take on that question, like what are some things students should focus on or think about during their time in school to help them be employed down the road?
I would say all of the courses, especially the core courses that like everyone takes, because you have journalism electives, but those core courses are teaching you these really practical, that journalism is a super practical degree. Like as an undergrad, you're getting just those undergrad, history, philosophy, whatever else you want to take. Journalism it gives you these really practical skills especially by the end of fourth year, you are ready to roll into the workplace. I think you sort of by the fourth year, you might have figured out your interest, right? So it could be podcasting, it could be audio, it could be sports journalism, it could be just maybe you really want to work like in breaking news. You just want to be dashing out. Maybe you want to do video documentaries. So you can sort of start to gear towards specific skill sets, but you will kind of know how you will have done a little bit of everything by the end of fourth year. So I think it's really understanding, like sticking with your interests. So if you really love video, then do video and just engage with those courses to pick up those technical skills. And the internship, maybe you could try and search for an internship, because that's really a chance also like to network with, and some students end up working in newsrooms in the third, like in the summer after their third year. So just looking for those opportunities, being willing to put yourself out there. But you do graduate with a really strong sort of skill set. And then you enter the workplace sort of ready to learn more. You're always learning. I'm still learning. You're not done learning by the end of the 4 years, but you certainly have a really solid base. And I think if you're really interested and you want to optimize, that's when it is handy. Like, students this past year, like sort of revitalized the King's Watch. So it's doing journalism outside of just your courses, right? Doing it for the Dalles Gazette or doing it for the King's Watch, and like really taking ownership of those sort of places to do journalism. Sometimes, students are editors there. And so just capitalizing on sort of those additional opportunities to, just have fun. I think you're engaging with other journalism students and doing it that way, but it also gives you a really solid portfolio in addition to what you're doing through class that gets published on the Signal. So that would be a suggestion also, is to get involved with like outlets outside of just your core courses.
Yeah, I suppose I would add to that just to say that people such as Trina and the others, and David Swick, you saw his picture, and others on the faculty, take advantage of these people. You will probably never again, in your time in the field, have a group at your disposal that are just dedicated to you and to your success and learning about journalism. Editors are busy people, and they're going to expect you to be ready to roll. So take every advantage of the learning resources that are offered to prepare yourself for that. And firstly, in that is don't be afraid. Ask lots of questions. Book office hours. Chat with us. It's actually kind of a cool, fun place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we give pretty extensive feedback on assignments. And so really read through the feedback and then, meet your prof and talk about it. If you're not clear, like we're so happy to do that. We just want to make sure that you come out on the other side of your degree with just a really solid understanding. It's so exciting to me when I'm driving and I'll hear a former student, sometimes that just graduated, like on the radio, or I'm reading their story and I'm like, yes, it's a real thrill because we have small classes and we end up knowing our students. So we're really invested in your success. So take advantage of that, like Fred said, and just, ask questions, meet with us, incorporate feedback. And that's my advice.
And the last question that I have, unless anyone else has anything further, is I think, Trina, you're talking about that near the end of your answer there. It's just about the journalism school community. There's small classes. The students will definitely get to know you just as you will get to know the students. Can you talk about that? I guess what the community is like inside the journalism school.
No, absolutely. It is a tight community. You'll get to know your cohort of students really, really, really well. By the time you get to the end of the 4 years, you're going to be fast friends with many of them, and certainly our students stay in touch with each other for years afterward. because of the experience they have together. Because it's sort of like, in a sense, it's a bit like being in the army. In a sense, you get thrown into it, and you're doing this thing together, and it's often very intense and hard work, and that tends to build bonds between people, and certainly that happens in the school. The other thing we have is we've had over the last couple of years a very active journalism student society, which of course depends on the students themselves. But they put on things such as a staff student basketball game, a dodgeball tournament, trivia, and as well as just various things that involve the students. And so there's an opportunity in that sense to become a part of driving that community. But to give you an idea, the main part of our school is on the third floor of the Arts and Administration building, and there's a couple of couches there outside the admin office, and that in a sense is our community in a crucible. The profs and the students, they sit there and they talk to each other. They work there because it provides a space where they can sit down that's comfortable, and yeah, tight knit is how King's is often described, and I think that's accurate. Trina, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just that I agree, like the small class sizes. The biggest class you'll be in is the foundation year, because it's also an elective for Dal students. So like half the class are students who are taking it from Dalhousie. After that, it's just when you're in a journalism class, you're in it with your peers. If you get involved, yeah, with the King's Journalism Society, then you're able to interact more with like journalism students who are in years above you, and as you go through, then you can sort of act as a leader for the students coming behind you. So yeah, I would to get involved. King's is such a lovely it's a small campus. It looks beautiful in the evening when the lights are on the trees, and we have formal dinners, which is a really strong King's tradition and unique. But just take part in stuff, like just be involved and take part. It's always has a lovely like atmosphere at King's. And yeah, but in the small classes, I mean, I'm working so closely with some students in those workshops that you just, you know everyone, you're able to give them feedback and just chat. And yeah, it's a really lovely institution.
Lovely. Well, thank you, Fred and Trina, for taking some time today to talk to the students and answer some questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
Just see you in the fall, day one.
Indeed, we'll see you in the fall. And my email address, and you can get that, of course, from the admissions team is fvjones@ukings.ca or jourdirector@ukings.ca. Both will get you there, JOUR director. And if you want to send me an email, ask questions, you can ask them directly to the director at King's. There a lot of schools, the chair or director is like 6 layers above, and you'll never see them. But at King's, you'll see the director on the third floor, and the vice president and the president on the second floor as you go down. And that speaks to the King's community as well. That there's very little hierarchy here. But contact us, and we'd be delighted to answer any questions you have over the summer or right through your program.
Absolutely. So I put Fred's email there in the chat, but also you can contact us with the admissions and recruitment team. Our generic email is admissions@ukings.ca. And certainly you would have received individual emails from us over the course of the year. So feel free to shoot us an email and we can connect you with Fred and Trina if you have any questions. I see that you put in the chat there, someone did thank you. Can't wait to meet you all. We can't wait to meet you too, and for Welcome Day and for the start of school in September. But so until then, have a lovely summer, everybody. We can't wait to see you at King's, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So for myself, for Fred and Trina, thank you very much, and have a great remainder of your Sunday. So
have a great day. Okay.
Thanks for joining.